Imagine a Labrador Retriever. Some of you may imagine a springy lab that could fetch all day. Others may imagine more of a couch potato. Both are good examples of Labrador Retrievers, and they really showcase the differences in the two types of Labrador Retrievers. I work at a dog kennel, and we also breed Labrador Retrievers. So I have worked there for about 2 years, so I have very good experience with both types of labs. Today I'm going to talk about the different purposes, looks, and temperament of the two types. The different purposes come from people breeding for different traits. Nancy Ainsfield, a writer and photographer at Pheasants Forever, wrote the article Bird Dogs, American Labs versus British Labs in December of 2015. In it, she discusses different breeding purposes of the labs. The English Lab, or British Lab, is bred for show. They're bred for pretty looks, even temperament. They're known as conformation dogs because they're bred specifically to conform to breed standards. The American Lab is bred for their own thing. They're bred for hunting purposes. They're bred for high energy, drive, agility. They're bred for performance. For example, at work, we have a dog named Chuck, and he's a yellow English Lab. So he's one of those conformation dogs who's bred for looks and temperament. People love his puppies because, like I said, they're even-tempered and they look pretty. Next, we'll discuss the difference in looks between the two types. Jane Pinsoffer of the LabradorSite.com discusses visual differences in the article English versus American Labradors. What's the difference? Published on August 26, 2019. In it, she discusses that English Labs are easily distinguished visually. They have a heavy bone structure, they're solid looking, and they have a blocky face. The AKC height standard for them is 21.5 to 22.5 inches tall. The English Labs have a thicker coat than the American Labs, which means that they shed more. They also have a thick tail that falls downward. The American Labs are also easily recognized visually. They have a lighter bone structure and are slim and are built more athletically. The AKC height standard for them is 21.5 inches to 24.5 inches. They're allowed to be a little bit taller because they have longer legs since they're more athletically built. They also have a thin coat which accentuates their athleticism, and they have a thin tail that curls upwards. So now that we've discussed the difference in purposes and looks, let's look at the differences in temperament. The staff at Labrador Training Headquarters, or LTHQ, wrote the article Useful Guide to Know the Difference Between American and English Labrador on October 12, 2019. In the article, they discuss the difference in temperament. The English Lab is well known for their easygoing temperament. They are more calm and more docile than the American Lab. They're less active, so they're more content to sit on the couch all day or lay by the fire. They're also a lot quieter than the American Lab. In contrast, the American Lab has high energy because they're bred to hunt. Because they have high energy, they come off as more headstrong, so they may need a more experienced trainer than an English Lab would. So now that we know all of this, we can look at some dogs and talk about them. So if you look up on the screen, the yellow dog is Chuck that I discussed before. His registered name is AFC Field of Dreams Grade A Beef. The black dog is Betsy, and her name is FC Field of Dreams All Bets Are On. We call her Betsy. So Chuck the yellow one is an English Lab. So he has a blockier face, a thicker coat, and he's bigger boned, as you can see. The black one, Betsy, is an American Lab. So you can see she's slimmer, she has a thinner coat, and I can speak from experience, she's very high strung. Chuck is easygoing and very relaxed. Today we discussed how American and English Labs differ in purposes, looks, and temperament. Now, maybe someday if you're taking a walk down the street or in PetSmart and you see a lab, you can distinguish it between American and English.